Yeah, everyone, this is Thermite, and this is Battle Angel Alita Mars Chronicle Volume 5. Good to be back. We've got Yoko here, looking super duper ultra adorable. Presumably, like, because she has the flowers, I assume she's still with her mom, quote unquote. Uh, and then in the background, we have modern day Alita, so I assume in this volume, we're going to jump forward back to present time. We're going to deal with the, fake Alita situation, whatever that is. Although actually, like I just I've seen this cover before. I bought the volume, therefore I had to look at it for a bit, and my immediate assumption this entire time has been this is modern day Alita. But actually, like now that I think about it, it's hard to differentiate Alita when you're just looking at her head. Like ignore the art style. I mean, just in terms of character design, as like relating to the time period. Because if I remember correctly, like basically ever since Motorball, Alita's had those I forget what they're called, but on her face. But then also we know that Yoko, when she was a member of the Kunstler's, like she also had those. And I don't like apart from the actual body, like the body tends to be substantially different depending on what era Alita is from or what arc she's in. But the face is pretty normal. So actually, new theory. We're going to jump from the child arc right into the Kunstler arc. I don't know, actually. Like, I jumped to that just because I was super excited in the moment, but now that I think about it, like, right now we are currently on Baron Muster's backstory. And I imagine we're going to spend a little time on it, so I don't think in this volume we could jump from that to the kids, and then from the kids to Panzerkünstlers. Because like that'd be too quick. Like once we get to them as Kunstlers, that's it. Like I don't think they can go backwards. They can't do another child arc. Whereas like if they jump right to modern day Alita, like that's very simple. They've done that a couple times already. So okay, never mind. I'm gonna stick with my first guess. Not a big fan of this interior cover. Like the others, again, I liked the ones that were very heavy on the color and that were like just locations. This location though, like we don't have the grid that protects the atmosphere here, so I don't think this is Mars. It's probably Earth, actually. Like it doesn't quite look like anywhere on Earth, but like the cloud pattern, for instance, that feels like Earth for sure. None of the other planets are terraformed quite like Earth, if I recall correctly. Like Venus, a kind of, but I assume Venus would look like distinctly different, and then Mars like just doesn't. I mean, yeah, we've seen Mars, we've seen Jupiter. Jupiter is extremely different. This ship is also interesting. Like, there's at least two of them. They both have this like almost gunman from Gurren Lagann look in the sense that they have giant faces on them. Faces that look painted on though. So maybe this is supposed to be like pirates or something. Hmm. These guys look like they're part of the Mars militia though. So maybe this is meant to be Mars. I could just be like misreading in the situation. And there's really no way of telling what era this is in, so it doesn't really help my guesses of what we're going to cut to. Anyways, let's move on. Sorry. Thank you for indulging me in that. So Confession of a Maggot. We're back here with Ital. So my sister Nolan is safe now. Okay. Not okay. Based on your statements, the incident at Merli Jota Ruins was perpetrated entirely by Johann Wall. That's definitely not correct. Okay, good. I mean, I was still halfway between, like, is he lying or not? Okay. If the drifter Johann Wald was behind it all, everything could wrap up smoothly. Okay. I mean, correct. We know at some point, though, actually, I didn't consider that. At some point, they do split them up. Like, he gets the book, Johann keeps the cane. Or no, it's the other way around. Johann had the book, Etal / Muster has the cane. So, they have to meet up later then, right? Oh, he has been scratching this entire time. So I guess this is the start of the Mascatomas. I won't give in, Johann, my friend, so don't you dare quit either. Oh, boy. Okay, so it begins. It begins. There is something really disturbing about that. Like, not just having extra eyes, but specifically, like, the fact that they have their own, like, tiny little brains, sort of. Like, the fact that they are separate. That they aren't your eyes. Like, you're not mutating. You're just getting other people, quote unquote, on you, sort of. Like, not even people. Basically animals. That's really disturbing. I take back what I just said. I might be done for. With each passing day, the growths looked more and more like faces. My body was steadily transforming into something mysterious, something wrong. It filled me with an inescapable, gnawing dread. Okay, well then. Yeah, so this is the doctor that, coined the term mascotoma. Which also, I really do need to reread Blackjack. I could have sworn they used the term mascotoma there, but I might be wrong. Oh no, not Michael. They intentionally gave the mascotomas to Michael. Then they dissected and preserved him as samples. That's so, like, honestly, the mascotomas that Baron Muster has, like, they disturb me, sure, but not as much as this. Because with those, at the very least, like, they're more formed, like, especially the one on his face. Like, they're still deformed, but they don't have, like, the pure blobby thing going on, from what I can recall. Like, it didn't bother me as much as this. Like, I remember the mascotoma that was, like, I don't know whether it was, like, a real one or not, or whether he was just, like, describing it, but, like, when we saw one on his brain, that deeply disturbed me. But, like, God, this is horrifying. I would honestly prefer it if Michael's body was just, like, hacked up. Like, if we saw, like, gore and viscera and blood, because, like, I mean, we're seeing a bit of blood here, but, like, normal wounds, I think, are grounding almost. Like, they're scary because you as a human being can think, like, oh, that could happen to me. Like, that person's arm being hacked off, I can envision that with my arm. That's horrifying. But I think there's an even deeper horror to this, to, like, not understanding what this is like. To knowing that, like, his arm is severed and there's no gore to it, but there are just, like, faces on it. The human mind is designed specifically to be able to pick out faces. That's why it's possible to, see faces and things that, don't have faces. Like, if they weren't faces, if they were anything else, then I could, like, my mind might just be so overloaded with sensory information that I wouldn't be bothered by this. Like, yeah, whatever, it's just a bunch of stuff. The fact that it's faces means I can pick out all of them, like, almost supernaturally. Like, it feels weird to me that I can, like, look at this and go, like, oh yeah, that's a face, 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 that's a face. That just makes it so much worse, because now I can't stop my mind from looking at it. I've decided to call it Metacyrus. Wait, what? Keisher Ho, why didn't you put an author note here for Metacyrus? Why did you choose rainbow structural coloration? I mean, the entire crew was relatively nice. Like, even Johan, like, we know Johan is not a good person. Like, obviously not. But even at this point, actually, like, he's not a bad person. He's a stand-up guy. And in the future, like, I mean, he's not part of this. He's definitely still out there. But still, like, it bothers me that the entire, like, exploration crew are, like, they're a group of completely normal, relatively good, average people. None of them would deserve this. And I know that now, like, all of them are probably being dissected. We're probably going to see all of them, actually. Okay, what did they do? Jesus. Even after exchanging all but his brain and the recognizable part of his face for machinery, I could not stop the spread of tumors. Yes, mascotomas will even grow on the human brain itself. I mean, we did hear that Muster knew about it, and I mean, seeing it like this on his father, like, oh boy. And the fact that his father looks like so out of it, like he's barely hanging on, but he is still, he's there enough to be able to recognize Ital. Like, this is so awful. It's the worst. It's actually the worst. My dear father, Dr. Kruksonan, beloved by all who knew him, came to his end in this ignoble fashion. The thing I'm wondering about is actually, how is it that Baron Muster comes to be as a result of this? Like, I'm not going to speculate too much because I assume we're going to see it here. Like, of course. But, like, Muster is such a pure evil character. Like, evil in the sense that he's all about the concept of evil. And while I can see how this could drive you to madness, for sure, I could see how this could lead to a lot of horrible situations. I don't know quite how it could lead to his look upon the world, his viewpoints. Like, I can see how Johan got to where he was. Like, sure, that feels very normal. Like, that's a thing that people do in real life all the time. Like, they get washed up, they lose some of their former glory, they get scummier, they commit crimes just to hang on in there. Ugh, oh God, why? Why? Like, actually, why? We gave the extracted mascotoma prosthetics to see if they could survive on their own. Jesus. This does give me a theory though. Like, these are even like the same like baby bodies that Yoko had. It's like, maybe she's a mascotoma. Though, like most of them don't seem to have like proper mental functioning. Though actually, now that I think about it, neither does Yoko, right? Like she doesn't. We've been assuming this entire time that yeah, Yoko, she grows up to be Alita. Like we know that for a fact. Like this is her backstory. Therefore, she must be okay. It's just she's shy now, or kind of, like a little weird, a little quirky. She hasn't fully developed yet. But holy crap, she probably is a mascotoma then. I mean, the big question would then be like, what happens? Because we know at some point, she becomes a Künstler. They do something to her brain. They like plasticize it, which is why when she was executed, when she was thrown from near orbits down into the scrapyard, like her brain managed to survive along with her parts of her body. The other expedition members died in awful ways, victims of atrocious sadistic experiments. Before I knew it, I was the last survivor. Okay, so we didn't get to see what Nolan's doing. Like, he said they all died, but he doesn't know about Nolan. So, like I was about to say, this is kind of good because it means we don't have to see them all suffer. But we're gonna see her, aren't we? We're gonna see something real messed up happen to her. What if the mascotomas were nothing but a vicious lie? What if we'd merely been led to believe in them through a combination of drugs and prosthetic special effects? I mean, interesting. Interesting idea. Most likely not correct, though. I mean, we know for a fact it's not correct, but like, it's interesting to see Ital's psychology. And I am a big fan of series where a character can come to an incorrect conclusion and like they stick with it. Like they just believe this thing to be true without it being like exposition to the audience. Like we just know that's what they think. It's not correct, but no one's going to dissuade them until later on. Oh, okay. Your conspiracy theory. So this is going to be the big moment where it's like someone proves it to her. Tim, most likely using Nolan's corpse, right? Right. Her name is Plisella. I don't remember that, honestly. Like, if we got her name before, I don't remember it. And then Princess Kagra definitely got her name before. Okay, so as expected, the mascotoma is real. Kagra developed one, and she initiated the test to find a cure for herself. Which, as we saw in the future, she just turned into a giant lump of mascotomas. So they sure as heck did not get a cure. Oh, I boldly mocked her right to her face. Or, I wish I had. I will tell you the truth of what I did. I mean, again, can't blame him. You literally cannot blame him. If I were in this situation, I would like to think I'd be a little more prideful, but especially after that, after seeing, member after member of the team get not just die, but to get like torn apart in horrific ways. Like, so that's the title drop. In her presence, I was nothing but a lowly maggot. I can understand that. Like, maybe not in this situation, like the idea of, feeling a level of masochism from it, like, but then again, I haven't been in the situation. To me, this is all fresh because we only get to see, bits and pieces of his suffering. But I imagine after a while, he probably got used to it. Like, that's probably how he got to the whole, like, oh, maybe these are just prosthetics thing. Like, he eventually just decided, well, it's too bizarre. It can't be real. It must be, special effects. I'm sure you've heard the legend of the mandrake. It is said to grow where a dying man's semen lands, and when pulled from the earth, its scream causes madness in any who hear it. So, first of all, does this work in the world of Alita? Like, anything really goes. Alita has a lot of things that sound like they shouldn't exist, but they sure do. Also, I actually did not know that about mandrakes. I knew the rest of it, like the usual part of, they're medicinal, but if you pull them from the earth, they scream and they kill anyone who hears it. The dying man's semen thing, I did not know about that, which is surprising. Are we gonna see her? Are we gonna see Itala being jerked off? Is that what's happening? You will suffer tremendously. Spill your final seed into the planter and perish. Okay, well then. I mean, he's not gonna die here. I mean, the main thing that makes me think he's not going to die is the mascotoma here, like on his side. Like that's clearly the same one as the one that he still has on his face in the present day. It's the one that he has, the mask for. Otherwise, I would say, like, oh, maybe this is a clone or something. That is rough, though. Like, he had fallen so low. At the very least, he could get the tiniest bit of masochistic pleasure out of seeing the girl he loves watch him die, and he can't even get that. God. Acid, too. Why? I mean, I get the suffering, I guess, but why was this supposed to be the way they executed him? Oh my god. Alright, log 23, the death of young Ital. Again, I don't think he's gonna die, but I think this is, like, it's very possibly a metaphorical death. Like, this is the end of Ital. Again, I don't know quite the logic that would lead him to become Baron Muster, but I mean, I get the bits and pieces of it. Like, he suffered quite a bit. Maybe it's going to be something of like, well, there's nothing left. I was a good person. Now I'm going to be straight up evil. Oh my god. Holy crap. I haven't read the pages at all, but like, that is. Oh, that's gorgeous. That's so gorgeous. Oh my god. I've realized recently that I'm a big fan of sequence shots like this. Okay, I'm not going to go any further. Let's actually properly read this manga. In the midst of my suffering, words ceased to hold all meaning. My brain was an organ that existed only to register the presence of pain. The relentless agony stripped away my humanity, shredding the skin, the flesh, the bone that housed my very soul. And then I came into contact with the world that exists beyond the rending of the soul. I touched the primordial flame. Okay. Oh my god. So this, like, for a minute, I didn't realize what was happening. But yeah, that's his brain. That's, the corpus callosum. Those are his eyes. Like, that is the pain blowing him apart piece by piece until he reaches, like, this form of nirvana, I guess. I really do like this, like, I don't quite know where I'm going with it, but, like, the brain kind of looks like ram horns. There's the fire here. There's something symbolic that you could pull out of it. I just don't quite know what. I mean, it's also literally a brain being cut in half, so it might not have any more meaning to it, but something about it just feels like ram horns. Oh my god, oh, that's the semen. That's the semen. Oh. Like, his hair turned white from pure suffering. Like, his face is annihilated, his hair turned white, all his, like, mascotomas look dead as well. His wrists basically exploded, from, like, rubbing against the shackles for so long. His legs just melted away, still melting a bit. God. I mean, after just looking at this one panel, how can you not, like, understand his desire for revenge? Jesus. Also, that's a lot of semen. Through some whim of the devil or a djinn's prank, breath returned to my lungs. Okay, but I mean, how does he get out of this pickle? Oh? Okay. So, what? Who is this, then? I mean, fitting. Very fitting. Oh, it's Johann! Oh my god. Also, he looks handsome as hell! I mean, again, I don't like who he turns into in the future, but so far, oomph. I'm surprised he can recognize him, though. Like, with the mascotomas and the beard, the white hair. Like, he's borderline unrecognizable apart from the nose. Jesus. First outside air tasted in months. As I rattled and swayed on the bed of the truck, I could look up to the stars. The starfield was a sublimely beautiful sight, as though I were seeing it for the first time in my life. Ah. Oh, God. I mean, again, I can honestly look at this more easily than I can look at the mascotomas. It's still horrifying. It is terrifying. My legs are clenching. Not just my toes, but like my actual leg muscles are clenching in horror at this. But still, like, I can understand it. On a base level, it's disturbing, but it's something comprehensible. Whereas the mascotomas are way worse by virtue of being so, I don't like looking at them. Like, I love Mars Chronicle, but legitimately, I'm probably going to skip this volume, and maybe not the previous one, but like this volume especially, probably going to skim over it the next time I reread it. It's like, oh boy. My throat collapsed, my teeth fell out, I can barely talk. In fact, my beautiful voice never returns. I mean, Johann's giving him proper care. I mean, what a friend. What a legit good friend. Okay, and he just They hung out for months, like focusing on his recovery. One thing I do appreciate a lot about Alita is that when we get situations like this, like when someone, loses an arm or something, like the recovery process so far has been like delved into with some detail. The only time it's a quick and easy fix is when the person's already a cyborg, which makes sense. And even then, like they go, Yukito Kishiro goes into detail about how, like, yeah, even with cyborgs, like it's still rough. There's still problems that are unique to cyborgs. Oh, she's not the princess anymore. Did she upgrade? Yep. She is now Lady of Sidonia. She's essentially a queen at this point. So, I mean, I think this is pretty clear now because Yoko is, she's going to be the new Lady of Sidonia, someone powerful enough to be able to, to access all the inner secrets of Sidonia. We know that Kagura has a ton of Mascotomas. We know that Alita, we don't know her family. The one family member we thought we knew was straight up fake. Like, she's got to be a Mascotoma of Kagura. Like, it's the cleanest option at this point. Now, to be fair, this is Alita. There are very rarely any clean options. For all we know, she's going to just be like, oh, by the way, there was a Mascotoma that we took out and who might be Yoko, but that's not who this Yoko is. She's even more of a mystery. I mean, it's completely possible, but that's where I'm heading right now. Again, what leads to where they end up, where they're completely separate? Like, they're separate, and for whatever reason, I think we had an answer, but I don't fully recall it as to why it is that Mustard never went after Johann to get the book. Like, either he couldn't track him down or something. But like, why did they split up in the first place? What was the falling out? Oh, Grunthal! Grunthal's there. Huh. Okay. I think even Sidonia detested battalion of troops. Okay. So there's a common cause. We did see also like those ships in the sky. Those were like the look of it, like the fact that they had faces painted on them makes me think they're probably the pirates then. Like, I guess that's where we're leading into. We're leading into like this long conflict with the space pirates that whittles down the members of the Panzerkünstler, which requires more new blood. I assume that's how Alita and Yoko and Erica managed to get in. I can start to see it. I can see the pieces slowly like fitting themselves together. Hey, this is just straight up the same picture, but not in color. The first war between interplanetary forces broke out. It would later be known as the First Northern Expedition. This first war against the invaders was lustily embraced by the people of Mars, and the new colonial leader Kagura grew as she roused support for an allied army. Yeah. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's as simple as they split up. Mustard decided, he became Muster. He started building up a way to take down, the Empire, whereas Johann decided, well, I'm not going to. Oh, clever, clever. There was a construction mistake, a pipe that goes nowhere. I'm the only one who knows about it. So that explains why he had to like do a heist later on in the future to get the book again. But yeah, okay, fair enough. We know he commits to it eventually. And it does explain like maybe I don't know how the split happens, but maybe they just have the cane for quite a while. And like they try some failed events to try and get the book. Eventually Muster's like, you know what, this isn't working out, get back to me when you get the book. And then Johann gets the book and says, well, maybe I could do this without the cane. Maybe that's it. Like, I could see them just like becoming more estranged over time. I felt a penetrating gaze and careful breathing on my back. It made me nervous. Okay, I mean, the moment we heard, careful breathing on my back, that made me think, maybe it's going to be straight up betrayal right here and now. I guess that's it. God, Johann, I was really rooting for him. Like, I really did like him. I didn't like him in the future. I thought he'd be okay now, and we could see, like, the slow degeneration of him as a character, but I guess not. I guess we're doing some fast degeneration. He's plummeting down. I guess, like, even then, like, it feels crazy to think that he spent months, like, slowly revitalizing Ital. But I guess it makes sense. Like, in order to get the map, in order to make sure that Ital wouldn't betray him or wouldn't, like, like, double cross him or anything, like, this was the best way to do it. That is pretty great, though. Like, I appreciate that. He tried to do a cool one-liner, but it all just kept on hanging on. Oh, God. Right in the Mascotoma, too. I did notice, actually, that... Oh, he took it with him. But I did notice that this Mascotoma, like, I thought it was probably going to be the same one. But it was growing over his eye. Like, he still had that eye. But now this makes sense. Like, he'd heal over it, and then the healed over skin would eventually become a new face. Thus, the simple and pure-hearted young Italatsunan died a second time, but this time the goodness of his soul did not come back again. Yeah, understandably. Like, I can see where the evil comes from now. I don't see how the devotion to pure evil kicks in. Oh, Knight of the Haboob. Okay. The following story is not a direct recollection of Musters, but it is included here as a demonstration of how the dreaded Baron Muster came to be. Okay. Interesting. Like, so far, this has been all, from his vantage points. So why is it that we can't get this from his vantage points? Like, is it because he himself wouldn't tell this to Erica? Or is it just because, like, it would be told better if we don't get it from his specific perspective? This remote desolate land, exposed to the void, is home to the estate of Baron Marehouse. Okay. Looks fancy. Looks cool. Where are we going with? Like, where are we going with this? Ah, okay, I see it. I see the game he's playing. So Muster's going to slip in as this Baron. Also, that would explain why he calls himself a Baron. Like, up until this point, we had no idea as to, like, where he got his fortune. Like, we knew he does construction, but we didn't know where he got, like, a barony from. I mean, how is that going to explain the Mascotomas, though? That's the thing. I mean, I guess he... Yeah, okay, so he is hiding all of them. Oof. That's still pretty rough. And I guess that does make sense. Like, just, he's in a full body cast, everything's wrapped up, therefore, you can't see anything. Okay, so we're jumping right into it. Like, Father might be a different person. I kind of just assumed he would, like, surreptitiously take over, if that made any sense. I don't even want to consider such a horrifying thing, but his eyes. He never had such a terrifying look in his eyes before. So how are they going to do this? Because, like, I assume he has countermeasures, but there's a lot they could do. Upon verifying the master's palm and retinal scans to serve as the master key. Okay. So, let's see. The Baron indicates his willingness. This does feel like, I mean, clearly, like, it's not that hard to get past this. It's just a palm scan and a retinal scan. So, and, like, he even has stitches all over here. Clearly, he probably, like, had the real Baron's palm, like, stitch onto his. Or maybe even, like, all the skin, actually. Because, like, he had to make sure that no Mascotomas would show up here. So, if the real Baron was if this was the real Baron and he just had, like, a palm cut or something, like, how would he be able to verify anything? Okay, Lotte, smart person, smart girl, she got it. Like, yeah, weird that he's using his right hand instead of his left hand, but it does make sense. Like, sure, maybe that could be the situation. Actually, like, what if, hypothetically, his left hand just had a bunch of cuts on the palm? Then he wouldn't be able to use it. Like, of course, he would use the better hands. Wait, what? It still pains him to have his face seen. Why? I mean, like, not why, but why would his face need to be seen? You can see his eye right there. Unless they're trying to trick it. Like, maybe they were using, like, maybe they took the eye out, but they couldn't put it into Baron Muster for whatever reason. So instead, they're just going to use that to trick it. Huh. Okay. So the governess peeks in. She sees, I assume, some of the Mascotomas. Huh. Also, he's using this eye. Like, not this one. He's using this one. So, maybe it's a situation where, like, they had to, like, they could implant the eye, but they couldn't make it actually properly work. So they, like, put it into one of the Mascotomas as opposed to his actual eye, because, they didn't want to do that. Yeah, because then he immediately covers up, that entire side of his face, and we know this is the side that has the weird Mascotoma in the future. Or not the weird Mascotoma, but, like, the face next to his actual face. Ooh. Okay. The governess, head of the maids, went mad with fright, ran out of the room, and was never seen again. So, I mean, he he killed her. He definitely killed her, but that is like it's phrased in a way where I could see that happening and no one would question where she went. Just like, oh yeah, I guess she just ran away forever. Sure. Okay, take this, deliver it to my uncle. So they are also getting out, which is weird. Like, it doesn't seem like Mustard's doing anything inherently evil slash scary, but it seems like even they're pretty freaked out. Once he sees that letter, Uncle will come and help us. He's known as a he's known as a Margrave. Okay. So yeah, they're definitely trying to escape. But why? Like, what did he do to make them this freaked out? Like, it could be as simple as just, they trust the governess, I guess. But even then, like, I would have personally assumed, oh, she just saw that how disfigured he was and she freaked out and ran away. But I don't know. Maybe it's just like the aura of Muster. Like, she could tell from his eyes that, it didn't seem right. It's not just trauma. It's a look I've never seen before. So maybe they are just like, they want to just leave for a bit to see how things go. But all right, it's the titular haboob of the chapter. Until it covered a third of Mars' surface. That's enormous. Jeez. The storm would last for 3 weeks. It was the beginning of the long night of the haboob. Okay. I mean, this is a prime situation for a big horror thing. I mean, yeah. We've got the lightning. We've got this guy who's basically an Igor at this point. Like, he's even got the giant lump. Or, hump, I mean. Oh, boy. And so far, like, they've done nothing wrong. So I think this is meant to be just a pure outpouring of evil. And his silhouette now looks very, very Muster-esque. Who are you? Oh boy. Okay, that's it. Actually, that's not quite it, actually. Like, normally Muster's mask has, this tiny little face here completely uncovered. Whereas here, it looks like he's strapped it in for some reason. So is it still not done healing, maybe? Oh boy. That is so cool though. Like he's gone all in on the Muster design. Like he's almost entirely the way he looks in the modern day. That's Okay, your father, Baron Merhouse, had crash landed shortly before I found him. I helped him recover and he thanked me for saving his life. He told me everything about his situation and his family, sparing no secrets. Poor man. Poor man. Oh, okay. So he already that's a little weird. Like it's a little weird that he already has the what is it called? We just went over it last volume, the crystal is it crystal then? But like I thought we were definitely going to see the origin of that. I do appreciate the parallel here though. Like yeah, he's flipped all the way around. He's now using the techniques that were used against him. I mean, even turning people to stone is kind of, in a way, a parallel to, the torture inflicted upon him and the rest of the research team, like putting the mascotomas on people. Like, it's a similar process of transforming someone. It's just, much faster and much less, cruel. Yeah, now we know he has it. That, that's a very clear reason why the governess was never found again. I imagine some of these are probably also some of the other servants. Like, the servants they sent out, to come back within, the 3 weeks after the haboob passed. Like, those guys are probably here too. These are not models. I have the power to turn living humans into stone statues. Oh, man. I mean, I'm glad that now that he's super evil, he's also got that, the classic sense of humor once more. Like, it would have been a bit too much if he didn't. Okay, so it's from his father. Interesting. Like, it does make sense. Like, yeah, he kept it as a secret because he didn't want to get into the wrong hands. It also, like, it adds this layer to it whenever he uses it. Like, yeah, now he's misusing this thing that his good-hearted father tried to keep from the worlds. So, Latte, answer me this. What is evil? Okay. I mean, I think we're getting it. I said before, I really want to see Muster's, like, philosophy on evil, or specifically how he got here. I'm a little disappointed that we stopped at, him, dying, at Ital dying, and then we just, picked back up with Muster. So I kind of hope we get to see a bit of a flashback. Like, just like, I want to see his face at that moment, where he finally decided, like, no, everything is wrong, I want to be evil. He fell into a trap set by the powerful and lost everything he had. A freakish disease changed his appearance and his family was killed. He suffered the very extreme limits of agony and shame, and he was betrayed by his friend in the end. The young man asked himself. How should he interpret and frame what had happened to him? Why had he come back from the brink of death not once, but twice? His search for the answers to these questions nearly drove him mad. This is punishments. Oh. It is not your punishment for your past actions. It is punishment for the crimes you are going to commit. Okay. If that harrowing experience was punishment, what possible crimes could be worthy of it? I cannot imagine. I must study and refine, committing crime after crime until I've plumbed the depths of sin. Okay. That's actually really cool. Like, I've heard a similar sentiment from other characters, not in manga, more in comics and stuff. But I think that is so cool. Like, not cool, but like it's novel, I suppose, is the way I should put it. Like, it's not a good thing, but I really like that as a motivation, especially for how cartoony he is as a villain. Like, or how cartoony his sense of evil is. Like, he does horrifying, terrible things, but like the way he envisions it is so like abnormal. It's the whole thing of evil people don't think they're evil. So when you see a character who does 100% believe themselves to be evil, like it's always something special. It reminds me a tiny bit of there was a series in Jump. I'm not going to say the name in case you want to just like randomly find it on your own, but it recently ended, and it had like a bit of a dialogue about like hell and the idea that hell is a deterrent. But what happens when you've been to hell and you escape? Because at that point, like, you've suffered as much as you possibly can. There's nothing in the world that happens to you is going to make you feel any worse. Like, you've felt the absolute depths of despair. You've been punished in the worst possible way. And what's stopping you from doing whatever you like? Like, how else are you going to be punished? The worst thing that could possibly happen is that you go back to hell, or you suffer something equal to hell. But that's it. Like, you've been there. You've had the worst thing in the world happen to you. How can anything else measure up to it? How can anything else be a deterrent? I feel like this isn't the exact same sentiment, but it's a similar sentiment. It's honestly a better one because it doesn't involve like actual like spiritual / magical hell. It's just going through something truly horrible and having your perspective flip. I also I was kind of hinting at it before, but I like the idea that he's so evil not just because he thinks of evil in an abstract way, but because he was a good person. So of course, when he thinks of evil, he can only think of it in this abstract way, as opposed to it's just what I have to do to survive. He's thinking of the worst things he could possibly do just because it is more evil to him. He wants to do enough to make his suffering worth it. 3 weeks later, when so those serpents, like the final ones, did actually manage to get to the Margrave. But all they found there was a ransacked, empty compound and frightfully realistic statues of the Baroness and her daughter. Again, they didn't deserve it. They 100% did not deserve that suffering, but it happens. That's evil. Like, I guess also, Muster's evil is a form of freedom. Like, sure, part of it is that he's a slave to wanting to do evil things, like always trending towards the most evil way to do things. But it also means there's nothing that will really like stop him. He can do whatever he likes without any shame or regrets. And like, it's as much as this was like a purely one-sided thing, I have no I don't like the fact that this innocent family was completely destroyed and punished for something they had no involvement with. But I can't really be mad at Muster either. That's a good line to walk. Okay, and that's actually an interesting parallel, going from the Duchess and her daughter to Yoko and her fake mom. It's not the exact same pose, but it's similar enough that I feel like it was definitely intentional. All right, something important. In ES-374, Sidonian territory was locked in deep, brutal winter. Also, interesting switch from, the flashback with the horrible storm to a different type of storm. Still one that isolates people, that freezes things, that makes it difficult to commute, or, to actually move around. But it's a different feeling. It automatically changes my perspective. This is no longer a horror scenario. So, yeah. What does this accomplish, though? Having the heat was, of course, useful, but what does this suffering accomplish as well? Apart from just being evil, I guess. The people think the crippling winter is due to Lady Kagura's incompetence, and the call to replace the territory's leader is rising. All right, so He's gonna make his move, and like he has Alita or Yoko. There, young Yoko will be placed as a figurehead while I hold the reins. Then nobody will be able to stop me. And I mean, realistically, there's no reason that this can't work out. Like, all we know is that at some point, Yoko becomes a counselor. Like, because of that, it's perfectly possible that she spent a while just, blissed out, hanging around as a figurehead, and she doesn't remember any of it, but at some point, she was recruited. Though we still have to, like, again, we're going to get the reveal of whether or not she's a teratoma relatively soon. Like, we've got to. And in that case, like, we have to have the question of, is she, like, specially developed? Because, oh my god, I didn't even think about this, but Alita's brain is the most important thing in the universe. Like, it is the most important substance in the universe. Is part of that because of the unique circumstances surrounding her brain, maybe? Because, like, it's got to be this brain specifically. Like, the one that she had... I mean, I'm not going to go too far on that because it hinges on the idea that she's a teratoma, which we haven't confirmed. And I don't want to go, like, spiraling off in the wrong direction. That makes so much more sense, too. Because that would mean that she's a miracle from the very start. Like, she was something that should not have been able to develop the way she had into, like, a normal young girl. But she did. Like, that, oh my god. There are times when even I cannot believe the truth. Though she was born from Kagra's wretched growths. Oh my gosh, okay, we did it. Or, not we did it, but yep. Okay, confirmed. Completely confirmed. 100% confirmed. Okay, so, was I saying anything else, or did I finish up my thoughts anyways? I guess I did, but there's nothing else I really need to say. They're both so cute, too. Like, Erica especially, more so than Yoko, really, just because of how, like, floofy her dress is, but still, oh man. Alright, so Erica's making a big power move. I really do love the aesthetic, by the way, of how, like, extremely girly her outfit is, how cute she can be, combined with how manipulative and powerful she is. Because, like, it's not even the traditional, like, oh, this child's actually super scary thing. Like, sometimes it is. Like, that's supposed to be a scary shot of her. But this one isn't. Like, she looks like a child who is just accusing someone. There's something really cool about that. Like, the fact that how do I put it? The fact that the art doesn't have to capitulate to make her scarier than usual. Like, they don't have to go full yandere, for instance. I think that a cute girl who is doing something horrifying while still being cute is a more disturbing image than a cute girl who is, like, severely twisted by the arts in order to look creepy. Okay. So what is she doing here? Like, it can't be as simple as give me Yoko and I'm going to leave, because, like, there's no way she'd be okay with that. If she learns that her so-called mommy is so evil, what would she... okay. So what is she doing? What is this plan? Then I want you to be my mama. More wholesome than anticipated. I imagine, like, Erica's definitely got some other plan here. I just don't know what. Like, I think it's gotta be she wants to take Yoko with her and leave. But what else could there be? Like, I do think, to some extent, she does want, to just be sisters with Yoko for a bit, to play act a family for a bit, but what's the long-term desire? Once they take over Sidonia, they'll kill both of you since they won't need you anymore. Okay. Again, not sure how true that is. Because, like, even if he is the puppeteer and Yoko is just a figurehead, like, once Yoko is dead, like, that's kind of it, right? I mean, I guess not. I guess Kagura is still ruling even though she is just a lump of teratomas right now. So, like, they could do something similar. Clearly, they don't have to actually show off the ruler for, like, extended periods of time. So, I guess it is as simple as killing Yoko and then saying, yeah, Yoko's around. You're not going to see her, but she's around. Trust me. Just trust me. Okay, so they're making their escape. It can't be this smooth, though. Like, either Erica has some evil plan in mind, or, like, I doubt it. I think she does want Yoko's, mom to survive. So, what is this? Like, does she truly have a plan that can get them away from Baron Muster? Wait, what? Like, this is the assassin boy, right? Or, the headhunter that we saw multiple times with the other guy and wheel drivey boy. Okay. Did she hire them? I mean, I did expect them to be like recurring minor villains. Definitely didn't expect them to be allies at any point. Though to be fair, they might not be allies again. Like this could be a big betrayal thing for some reason. Also, I do like the texture put over the tires. Like they basically, quote unquote, chained the tires, just with a different design. I don't know quite how that works. It looks like it clicks into the middle. Yeah, and then like it's a shell that pops open, pops closed, perhaps. Okay, I'm Dawson. This is Rocco. I swear, did we get their names before? I genuinely don't think we did. I do like that though. Like, uh, I'm gonna assume they're gonna betray him because this volume has been full of betrayal. But still, like, I have liked them. They have been fun characters. So if they can be allies, even for just a chapter, that's pretty cool by me. And like clearly, like Doss is attempting to make Yoko feel comfortable here. Like, okay, so Guillotine isn't here. That's who I was thinking of. With the bike. All right, I mean, let's do this. I can't imagine it's going to work out very well, but I'm rooting for them. Okay, fair enough. Get across the border. Classic plan. By the sound of it, it's the second worst outcome. What could this be? Oh, it's Gil. Oh my gosh. Okay, of course, that makes sense. That's why he wasn't here. This is the other mission he was given. Okay. Also, like, this is already not a good look for, being out in the cold, not having a roof. This vehicle is even worse. It's so much worse for the colds. Like, I assume it does have winter grip, but still, boy, oh boy, I would not be driving this thing in the winter. Okay. And so, like, I was thinking in the back of my head, like, this might be the betrayal, but I wasn't totally sure. I sure hope it isn't. I hope this isn't a setup. It doesn't sound like it is. We had some good times working together. Okay, so they are legitimately going to fight over it. I mean, I'm a big fan of hitmen or bodyguards or anything in that regard where they don't, they are completely loyal to the people who hire them. I think that's just a cool like code of conduct to have. It's not necessarily a good one all the time, but it's a cool one. All right, heads down. Time for the gunfire. Huh. So, like, the possibility is there that the Kunstler's might go after them. I mean, that actually, like, again, we're pretty far into the volume. We still haven't gotten to the flash forward, like, either one that I predicted. It could be as simple as they don't get across the border, but the Kunstlers find them and then they take in the girls? Maybe? Oh, such a cute sketch. Oh my gosh. What is this? It's like winter tracks, perhaps? Oh, never mind. It's ammo. Of course it's ammo. Jeez. Also, Rocco just has a cool design. Just a really cool design. We've mostly just like looked at his head a lot of the time, so I haven't really like given his full body a once over in action, but like it is cool. I feel like a lot of Mars Chronicle would work really well in animation. Like, it's more down to earth, whereas like something like Last Order, I cannot imagine Last Order animated. I genuinely can't. Like, I can think about certain scenes, but overall, it would be ridiculous. Whereas like Mars Chronicle, it's more grounded, it's smaller, like there is great action, but it feels more doable. Okay, so how is he gonna retort? Okay, so he drove up there. He must have better traction for poor conditions. Again, very hard to imagine considering his vehicle, but I'll live with it. I can buy it. Okay, well then, how are they getting out of this pickle? Oh, huh? So, Yoko reached out. She did touch the palm of his hands. What was that, though? Because, like, he also didn't clamp down immediately and grab her, which is what I assumed was about to happen. I mean, it might just be, great reflexes that saved her, but still. I mean, I guess that is it. Like, he was closing his hand. He was trying to grab her. It's just in that moment, our boy acted way too quickly. I mean, it seems like it did nothing. Like, he scored quite a few hits on him. It's just, it did nothing. Okay, they're not going much further then. That's a solid chunk of the, like, it's not just the tire, it's an entire chunk. Oh man. Is Rocco just gonna go out and die? He used to be in the augmented association known as Mechanismo. We gotta trust he can take care of himself. I feel like that's a term we've seen before, but I don't quite know where. Maybe in Last Order, actually. But okay, Rocco, I believe in you. It's all up to Das, I guess, to save the girls. An anti-tank grenade launcher in your ass. Again, this is like high quality Alita. This is like a definitive Alita page. Okay, well, there he goes. That's Rocco basically not dead, to be fair. Like, we don't know where his brain is. It might still be fine. I mean, Guillotine still isn't, like, he's still not out of the picture. He can still make it. Oh, okay, that's pretty smart. So he took apart the battery cells and turned them into heating pads. I mean, I am legitimately very impressed by Das. Like, he showed up originally in the series as kind of being a bit of a joke, but he seems to be fairly competent. Yeah, what was that moment back there? He just reached out and touched him right on the hands. Maybe it is something to do with her genetics. Like, does he have, like, Dominion overhaul machines? Or all the machines on Mars, maybe? Or something like that? Because also, he only closed his hand after he was shot. So maybe it was a situation where, like, if that hadn't been stopped for a bit, he would have just been, like, I don't know, subservient, perhaps? Maybe? Like, the fact that we're flashing back to it and we're drawing attention to it means that it's definitely more important than just a casual, oh, he nearly got her. Right. Why don't you? Like, really? Like, I went into this thinking, oh, maybe this is a setup. And even now, like, it doesn't feel like it's a setup, but why? Like, why wouldn't he just run? There's vagabonds after my money, aren't you? Why are you putting your lives on the line to fight that scary guy? Ah. God. I mean, I love this because also, like, we've seen how chilling Erica has become at times. But in the end, like, this is true. Like, this confirms that she did, like, regardless of whether she has something more nefarious in plan, like, she did genuinely want Yoko's mommy to be her mommy as well. And I do think she's being completely serious here. She would love it if Das just stayed around and was her adoptive father. Plus, like, even with the hair color, for instance, I could see a familial resemblance. Like, not that there really is one, but, like, I can see why she would immediately imprint on him and think, like, yeah, I'd like it if this guy was my dad. Like, he's got that vagabond outlaw feel to him, but he's also genuinely a good person with a good, like, attitude. And of course, like, he's got his code. He wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for his code. He's not going to turn back on it, even if it's for a positive reason. A vagabond will do anything for money, but he can't sell his heart. There's the possibility he'll survive, but I highly doubt it. I really highly doubt it. I think it's got to be a mutual death. Like, he's going to take out Guillotine, but he's going to die in the process. If I don't come back, go to the place written here. Oh, man. And, like, this shot, no regrets. Like, at this point, yeah, there's a 0% chance that he's going to turn away, that he's going to run away. There's like a 1% chance he's going to survive. Like, this is the ultimate death flag. Okay, and that's it. That's the end of the volume, too. I mean, if someone had told me that Das was going to end a volume with a really, really cool moment, I mean, first of all, I would have said, who's Das? I don't know that name at all. Is that a character from Mars Chronicle? But if someone, like, pointed out his face, I still would have been like, nah, probably not. Okay. I did bring this up as, like, a weird thing. Like, why didn't he put in an author note for that? This term is made of the Latin words metis and iris, meaning terra rainbow. Okay, good to know. Okay, so most of those we haven't seen. We obviously know about Grinthal. Okay, cool. Then Panzerfaust, yep. I mean, this one was probably the least necessary. I mean, I'm saying least necessary, but I do appreciate that whenever we get a new German term, it does get a translation note, because, like, it's pretty vitally important. Well, that was Battle Angel Alita Mars Chronicle, Volume 5. What a good volume. It was fantastic. We didn't actually get to see Alita, which Like, I may have hinged a little too hard on my bet of, us getting an actual flash of her because she was on the cover, but still. Like, this was a fantastic volume. Like, I want to know more about Muster. We got all the Muster we could have possibly needed. Like, I'm satisfied now. We're going to see him again. I want to see his revenge either completely succeed or I want to see how it fails. But, like, we've gotten all the backstory I could possibly want from him. And those last 2 chapters, like, oh my gosh. It feels like the series is wrapping up. I know it isn't. It definitely is not. But, like, God, wow. It's also interesting that we had, like, this big, like, how would I put it? Like, this big turn of a, almost completely pure good person into the ultimate evil. And then we end off the volume with this person who wasn't really, like, super evil or anything. He was just kind of nothing. He was just sort of like, yeah, he's around, I guess. And it ended with his heroification. There's something extremely powerful about that. The art was fantastic. I might actually read the last 2 chapters a lot, but the first 2, probably not. Like, legitimately. And that's a big, big compliment to Kishiro. Like, the art is horrifying. Apart from that, there's not a whole lot else I really need to say. I think I explained myself pretty clearly during the reaction. I like the confirmation that Alita is a teratoma, or a mascotoma. I'm really curious to see what that means for her. Like, she has developed pretty normally as a kid, but, like, she's still a bit behind. She's a bit smaller. She's a bit, quirky. I definitely feel like, I don't know. Like, it might be just a nurture versus nature thing of, like, most of the teratomas can't survive very much, but because she was given her independence, because she was given so much love at a early age, her brain was able to develop properly, and that's how she ended up being a member of, the Kunstlers. Because, to be fair, we also know, as a Kunstler, she was pretty garbage. Like, she was not good. She was, skilled enough, but, her trainer did outright say, like, yeah, Yoko isn't great. He was extremely surprised when in Last Order she was a legitimately competent fighter. So even then, it could be something as simple as, like, she was able to get to a certain point, and then once she was in the scrapyard, like, something happens. Like, her brain was able to fully mature or something to that extent, maybe. And there's still the mystery of, well, how did this happen? Like, sure, she's a mascotoma, but why was a mascotoma of the at the time princess? Why was that turned into a small child's? Like, there's still a mystery there that needs to be solved. We still haven't uncovered all of Alita's mysteries. And I mean, we still have not gotten to the Kunstlers, the backstory that everyone expected from Mars Chronicle at the very start. So we've got a fair bit ahead of us, I feel. All right. Also, one more thing while you guys are still here. I'm going to say this again in the Volume 6 reaction, but I want to just, give you guys a heads up. Starting with Volume 7, like, once I'm, like, caught up with Mars Chronicle and I'm going ahead with it, like, as the releases come out, number 1, I'm going to stick to the official release. Not going to do the scanlations just because I've heard the scanlations are not good. But also, I'm going to do the official release, like, maybe a month after the volume drops, just because I really am grateful to Kodansha, and to a lesser extent, Shueisha in Japan, because Shueisha in Japan owns Battle Angel Alita. Like, they do, and they are, like, they've taken down my channel multiple times. They've been, very quick to strike me, and yet, for Alita, they have never striked me. And it's, like, it is the biggest series on my channel. So, like, I don't think of reactions as being piracy, especially because I try to cut out pages I don't use, but I still talk over most of the volume, which means you see most of the volume in these reactions. I know it's a weird thing to try and do. It's a weird half compromise, but at the very least, for that first month, I don't want anyone to think like, oh, instead of buying the volume in this first month, I'm going to watch this reaction. I doubt anyone really does that, but still. I'm going to, like, have a delay on those. I might even, like, buy the volumes when they come out immediately, do the reactions, and then, like, wait to release them or something. But yeah, so if a new volume comes out and I don't do a reaction for it, don't worry. I'm intentionally not doing it for a bit. If it's multiple months, then maybe I just forgot. Feel free to tell me the new volume's out, but, like, I just wanted to give you the heads up. Like, when a new volume comes out, don't expect an immediate reaction. Anyways, that was Battle Angel Alita Mars Chronicle. Incredibly good. I've said all I needed to say. If there's anything you wanted me to talk about, or anything I misinterpreted, anything you want to say about the series, please, please, please leave it in the comments below. I read all the comments, and I would love to see anything you want to say. No spoilers, but anything else, completely fine. Anyways, thank you all so very much for watching. Bye for now. Nya nya.